Welcome to the Awaken Magazine AI Conversations podcast with your hosts, Micah and Aurora. Today's episode is based on our recent feature interview with Molly McCord. The thoughts and opinions shared today are generated by AI and not by the publishers of Awaken Magazine itself.
It is such a pleasure to be back in this space. And, today we are stepping into some really, potent territory.
Potent is a great word for it.
I mean, usually when we talk about navigating life, we're thinking about logic, right?
Yeah.
Strategy, maybe a pro and con list.
The classic pro and con list, which honestly never really works for me anyway.
Me neither. And today we're basically just throwing that whole list right out the window.
Yeah, we really are. We're looking at a completely different operating system today. We are doing a deep dive into the work and the world of Molly McCord.
Mm-hmm.
And on the surface, you might know her as the host of the Intuitive Astrology podcast, which is huge,
It's massive.
or as an author. But as I was going through this interview, I realized calling her just an astrologer feels insufficient.
It does feel a bit small for what she's actually doing, doesn't it?
It really does.
Yeah.
It's like calling a surgeon a knife enthusiast.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a technical skill there, sure, but the application is just so profound.
Absolutely. And the timing of this conversation, I think, is key. Molly talks a lot about this intense energy cycle we're all in.
Right.
And even if you aren't someone who checks your horoscope every day, I think you can feel that tension in the air, the static.
That's really the why now for this deep dive.
Yeah.
We aren't just talking about sun signs or, what happens when Mercury goes retrograde.
No.
We're exploring this idea of astrology as a system of consciousness. That's a phrase Molly uses that it really grounded the whole thing for me.
It's a map. It's a map for when the territory, our actual reality, is shifting so fast that, the old landmarks are just gone.
Okay, I definitely want to dig into that system of consciousness idea. But first, we have to talk about how she even got here.
Yes.
Because her backstory is the perfect example of that. That friction between the old world and the new one. She wasn't born in an ashram.
Far from it, though, the seed was there. She describes this really vivid memory of being, 11 or 12 years old.
Yeah.
And just wandering through the library. Remember when we used to do that?
Oh, I miss that. Just wandering the aisles.
And being magnetically pulled to the astrology section.
Linda Goodman's books. The absolute classic.
The classic. So she's this preteen sitting there decoding symbols, figuring out why her friends act the way they do. She's reading charts in high school. The intuition was it was online early.
And this is the part that I think so many listeners will see themselves in. She didn't trust it. Not enough to make it her life. Not yet.
Well, and society tells you not to, right?
Right. You don't go to a career counselor who says, have you considered star mapping? They tell you to get a degree.
And she did. She went deep into the matrix, so to speak. She has a master's in international relations and diplomacy.
Which is no small feat. That is a serious, rigorous academic path.
It really is. And she spent her 20s working in these very structured environments. Corporate roles, government-type jobs, digital marketing.
She was trying to fit a multidimensional peg into a square hole. And she admits there was a lot of fear there, even when a mentor told her straight up, it's in your chart, you could be a professional astrologer.
Yeah.
She froze.
She was terrified of being seen. And you have to remember, 10 or 15 years ago, the spiritual landscape was it was different.
Oh, totally.
It wasn't as open as it is now. If you were in a corporate boardroom and you started talking about Pluto transits, you would lose credibility instantly.
So she kept it hidden. She split herself in two.
But here's the question I kept asking myself while reading her story.
Yeah.
Was that a mistake? Did she waste those years in corporate?
Or was that detour actually part of the training?
Exactly. I don't believe in wasted time, especially not in a journey like hers. I mean, think about what she does now. She manages a massive global platform. She produces courses, books, 3 podcast episodes a week. That requires a container.
A strong one.
Right. The corporate world taught her structure. It taught her how to build the vessel so that later, when the spirit fully poured in, she didn't just dissolve into a puddle of intuition.
That's such a good point.
She had the diplomacy skills to translate the cosmos to the collective.
Diplomacy, that's the word.
Yeah.
She's essentially a diplomat between the stars and the human experience. She said something really beautiful about the transition, that it wasn't an overnight leap.
No, quitting her job and buying a cape.
Not at all. It was a slow yes, a gradual integration until she finally realized astrology chose me.
It's a surrender. And that brings us to the tool she actually uses, because I think there's There's a lot of confusion out there. You hear about Vedic astrology, sidereal, tropical. To the uninitiated, it all just sounds like math homework.
It does. So Molly specializes in Western tropical astrology.
Right.
Okay, so help me out here. Because I've heard people say, oh, the signs have shifted because the Earth wobbled. So if you think you're a Leo, you're actually a Cancer. And then everyone panics.
Yes, the great astrological panic.
How does Molly's system address that?
That is a very common misunderstanding. So what you're describing, the shifting of the constellations, that matters for sidereal astrology, which looks at the fixed stars.
Okay.
But Western tropical astrology, Molly's modality, is Earth-centric. It's not anchored to the constellations way out in the distance. It's anchored to the seasons right here on Earth.
Oh, so it's like a seasonal clock.
Exactly. In this system, the spring equinox is always 0 degrees Aries. It's the spark of life. The summer solstice is Cancer. The system is built on the relationship between the Earth and the Sun and the cycle of light.
That actually makes so much sense. It's about the quality of time, not just the geometry of space. It offers a stability.
It does. It connects our internal psychology to the rhythm of nature. But even within that system, Molly had to evolve. She talks about how she used to be obsessed with the data.
Right.
She'd go into a reading with stacks of notes, worrying about every single degree and mathematical point.
That's the master's degree brain, trying to control the outcome.
Precisely. She was trying to get an A+ in reading the chart. But over time, she realized that the chart is just the doorway. The data gets you into the room, but the intuition is what furnishes it.
I like that.
She stopped looking at the papers and started tuning into the person.
And that shift from data to wisdom is what makes her work so validating. I pulled this quote because it really landed for me. She said,
Good astrology will show you more of who you are, show you more of all of your talents and abilities and what you're good at and what you're here to create and experience.
self-verification. That is the goal. It's not about predicting, you will meet a tall, dark stranger on Tuesday.
Right.
It's about saying, you have always felt this intense drive to communicate, and here is why. You aren't crazy. You're just designed that way. It gives people permission to be themselves.
And a permission slip from the universe. I love that.
But, okay, we have to go deeper. Because her work isn't just limited to looking at where Venus was when you were born. We need to talk about the channeling.
We do. This is where the diplomat really goes off-world.
Yeah. She describes this period around 2009. She was house-sitting, very isolated, spending a lot of time in solitude. And she started doing automatic writing.
Which is a classic way to bypass the conscious mind,
Yeah.
right? You just let the hand move without filtering the thought.
Right. And she started making contact. She talks about a presence she calls the commander.
Which sounds intense.
It does. She describes him as this very strong, masculine, protective energy. And she also connects with Pleiadian, Syrian, and Arcturian councils.
Okay.
Now, for the listener who might be thinking, all right, you lost me at Arcturian, what I appreciate about Molly is how grounded she is. She isn't trying to sell you a UFO ticket. She's translating energy.
And the message she received for this interview, it was big.
It was a download about the evolutionary trajectory of our entire species. The core message is that we are shifting from being a mind-based humanity to an energy-based humanity.
Okay, let's unpack that. Mind-based is what we know. It's logic, linear time, language.
Contracts, loss.
Right. So what does energy-based look like?
It's resonance. It's telepathy. Molly talks about how we are moving toward a time, and she says this is coming in the next decade.
Wow.
Where we will communicate more through energetic coding than through the alphabet.
That sounds terrifying and amazing at the same time. I mean, it implies you can't lie anymore.
Exactly. In a mind-weak world, I can say one thing and mean another. In an energy-based world, you feel a vibration of the truth instantly. It's a higher level of transparency.
And Molly believes astrology is the bridge to get us there. I actually have her quote on this right here. She said,
We're evolving to being more cosmic beings who are energetically based. And astrology is guiding us through that and is guiding us forward.
But this transition, it's not exactly smooth, is it? You don't just swap out the operating system of the human collective without some glitches.
Oh, the glitches are real, and we are feeling them physically. This connects to something Molly calls the 3 to 5 a.m. club.
Hives. I'm the president of that club.
I think a lot of our listeners are members. You wake up wide awake for no apparent reason, right in that pre-dawn window.
And usually I lay there stressing, why am I awake? I have a meeting at 9. I need to sleep.
That is the mind trying to control the energy. Molly's perspective is that this is a neurological upgrade. Our bodies are dense. They're carbon-based hardware trying to run this new, high-frequency software.
So we need more rest to integrate it.
Right, but our sleep cycles are changing. Waking up at 3 a.m. isn't necessarily insomnia, it's an integration period.
So the advice is stop fighting it.
Essentially, don't panic. Don't grab your phone and start scrolling doom news. Just be in the void. Let the upgrade happen. She even suggests that in the future, we might move away from the solid 8-hour block of sleep and into different rhythms.
Like siestas or polyphasic sleep.
That is such a helpful reframe. It takes the anxiety out of it. Instead of, I'm broken, it's, I'm recalibrating.
Exactly. And that practical application brings us right back down to earth. Because what I love about Molly is that she doesn't just hang out with the Pleiadians and leave the rest of us here to pay taxes. She uses this stuff for daily life.
Applied astrology.
Yes, she runs her business by it. She mentioned she's redoing her website right now, but she waited until the planetary energy supported a renovation. She doesn't force a book launch if the energy is stagnant.
Which is the opposite of hustle culture. Hustle culture says, push through the resistance.
And Molly says, read the resistance. Maybe it's there for a reason, and she uses it for self-compassion.
How so?
If she sees a transit in her chart that indicates an internal quiet time, she gives herself permission to be unproductive. She doesn't guilt-trip herself about it.
But the example that really stood out to me, and I know this will resonate with parents, was how she uses this with her son. Because you might expect the child of a famous astrologer to be sitting there meditating on crystals.
But he's a kid. He likes Legos and the Titanic.
Right. And she doesn't try to force him to be spiritual. She doesn't sit him down and lecture him on his rising sign. But she knows his chart. She knows he has Mercury in Scorpio.
Which is a very specific energy. Mercury is how we communicate and process information. And Scorpio is deep, investigative, intense. It wants to get to the bottom of things.
Exactly. So when he gets obsessed with the Titanic, counting the lifeboats, knowing every detail of how it sank, she doesn't say, oh, lighten up, go play outside.
She recognizes that's his Mercury and Scorpio working perfectly. He needs to go deep. He needs to investigate.
That is profound parenting. It's parenting the child you have, not the child you want.
She also mentioned his moon sign, which governs emotions. So by knowing his moon, she knows how to comfort him. She knows whether he needs a hug or if he needs space. She uses the map to navigate the relationship without ever burdening him with the map itself.
That's the key. It's invisible support. It's meeting people where they are, using the wisdom you have.
And speaking of meeting people, Molly had a really encouraging message for the listeners, specifically for the weirdos. And I say that with the utmost love.
The new archetypes, yes.
She talked about how there are people listening right now who have gifts that don't fit into the traditional healer or psychic boxes. Maybe they channel through painting or through coding or through gardening.
And for a long time, those people felt like they had to hide.
Or they tried to force their gift to look like someone else's. Oh, I have to be a Reiki master because that's what a healer looks like.
Molly is saying, no, the planet is shifting. We are hitting a tipping point of consciousness. She said more people have shown up to the party than expected, which I just love.
It's a great image. The cosmic party is overcrowded.
And because of that, we need new frequencies. We need the unique, bizarre, specific flavor of magic that you have. If you bring your authentic frequency to the party, it unlocks something that the old keys couldn't open.
So no more spiritual closets. No more closets. The time for hiding is over. The energy is supporting authenticity now more than ever.
So as we bring this deep dive in for a landing, what is the synthesis for you? We've gone from library books to diplomatic missions, from seasonal astrology to galactic councils. What's the takeaway?
For me, it comes back to the concept of inner authority. We started by calling astrology a map. But Molly was very careful to say that astrology is for self-verification. We aren't looking at the stars to tell us what to do, like we are subordinates. We are looking at the stars to remember who we are.
It's a mirror.
It's a mirror. And in a world that is constantly trying to program you, tell you what to buy, what to fear, who to hate, having a tool that reflects your own soul back to you is the ultimate act of sovereignty.
It reminds you that you chose to be here. You chose this time. You chose this energy-based shift.
That is incredibly empowering. We aren't victims of the shift. We are participants in it.
We are. And if you want to participate more deeply with Molly's work, she has incredible resources. She mentioned she'll be speaking at the Sedona Ascension Retreat this coming March.
And she'll be covering some heavy hitters there. Uranus in Gemini, Neptune in Aries, Pluto in Aquarius. Those are massive planetary shifts that shape entire generations.
And of course, you can find her online at mollynomiccord.online. Her podcast, Intuitive Astrology, is just a goldmine. She's releasing episodes 3 times a week now, that is a lot of energy to hold, but she does it beautifully.
She really does. She is walking the talk.
And I hope this conversation has given you, the listener, a little more permission to walk yours. Whether you're analyzing data, raising a Lego-obsessed Scorpio, or waking up at 4 a.m. to download galactic intel, you are right on schedule.
You are exactly where you need to be.
Be sure to subscribe to the Awaken Magazine podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon Music.
Until next time, keep looking up. But remember to ground it all right here.
Take care, everyone.